Lut alayhi salam. The people of the city of Sodom were involved in evils, don't believe in God, they were bandits and treacherous to friend and not advise each other to get rid of sins and not to forbid from wrongdoings. And they added to their criminal record a crime not preceded by anyone other than them. They were practicing homosexuality as lust and not practicing sex with women. God sent the prophet Lut to guide his people and invite them to worship God alone and forbid evil deeds and immorality. So the call of Prophet Lut clashed with arrogant stone heart. They condemned Prophet Lut and his family to be expelled from the village. But Prophet Lut struggled with great strife. Days, months and years passed and Prophet Lut continued his call. But nobody accepted his call except his family. Even not all his family members believed because his wife was infidel. When Prophet Lut despaired to guide his people after tried every possible means, he asked God to help him over those wrongdoers and to send with what they deserved. God answered his supplication and sent his angels as most beautiful and handsome young men to that sinful village to have the punishment they deserved. While they were on their way to enter the village, meanwhile Prophet Lut's daughter was filling her jar from the river's water. She lifted her face and saw them. They asked her to accept them as guests of her father. She took pity on them of her people who attack every stranger. She said to them, "Stay at her place and don't enter until I tell my father and come to you." She went to her father to tell him. Prophet Lut rushed towards the strangers. When he saw them, he felt bad and became impatient and said, "This is a very difficult day." Then they asked him to host them, felt shy and walked with them and told them the people of this village are wicked and ashamed their guests and do mischief in the land. Then Lut accompanied his guests to his house and no one from the people of the city saw them. When his wife saw the guests, she sneaked outside, rushed to her people to tell them the news, which spread quickly. People came haste and stood at the door of the house. Lut came out to them with final hope and told them and said to them, "Fear the God and don't shame me with my guests, where you should honor the guests and should not shame him." However, the words of Lut alayhi salam did not touch their rigid hearts. Lut felt his weakness, then entered his house angrily and closed the door, and the strangers who hosted them sat quietly in silence. Lut surprised by their calmness. Lut alayhi salam was hoping that if he has the power to stop them, his people from his guest. The guest said to Lut, "Don't panic and don't be afraid, for we are angels, and these people will not reach you." They ordered him to accompany his family at night and leave. They told him that his wife is infidel, and what will happen to infidels will happen to her, and that the time of their punishment is morning. Prophet Lut went out with his family at night, and when morning approached, the Almighty's command came. Jibreel with his wingtip raised their 7 cities to sky, and then overthrew and butted to the ground, and during the falling the sky was bombarded them with the stones from hill. The people of Lut perished, and their towns wiped, and Prophet Lut's wife perished, and Lut's people turned over and fell from memory of life and the livings.